Okay, today I was supposed to get back into the vlogging. Unfortunately, however, the part of my camera tripod that keeps the whole thing stable, this thing, decided to just strip out and it doesn't tighten anymore. So, yeah, seems like everything's just taking a dookie. I need to get a new laptop, now I'm going to need to get a new tripod. But that's what happens when you cheap out on shit. Alright, that tripod was like fucking 30 bucks. I'm going to get one that's a little bit nicer. But what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to film on this in the car, and then for the rest of the workout, I will just record on my phone. I do have a phone tripod. And then from there, I think instead of doing the talking between sets, because I don't have a mic for my phone, because I still have the lightning cable, I don't have the USB-C cable, I'm just going to edit in some basic whatever CapCut or YouTube music, so that the freaking audio doesn't sound crazy. Anyway, I'll see you in the car. Alright, so a couple things have happened since our last vlog. I go to a new gym. It's called the Wolf Fitness Center. They opened one up in Sewell. I had gone to one in Northfield, New Jersey, which is about 45 minutes away from me. But this one in Sewell is only about 20 at most away from me. So I have decided to go there. I like it a lot. They've got really nice showers. They've got really nice equipment. They got a sauna. They got a cold plunge. They got the whole nine, basically. So yeah, I have been opting for this new gym. Like I said, I like them a lot. The equipment, in my opinion, they don't have like a weighted hyperextension machine. They don't have like a prone high row. But they also have some things that the other gym I was going to doesn't have, which is a Tillis, like a standing flat chest press, which I will be completely honest, I don't really see the advantage of that over like a seated chest press or bench press or any of the other chest presses we have. But nonetheless, it's still a well-equipped gym, and I can do plenty of back exercises as well as lower back exercises that will compensate for the lack of prone high row as well as the hyperextension machine. Got a whole lot of construction going on around here. I just had this idea, right? So I have been trying to get off of like energy drinks. So this is a pre-workout. I don't really count this as like an energy drink per se. But like I have not had an energy drink in probably about 6 days. Like no Monsters, no Bums, no Amino Energies, no Ghosts, nothing. And I was thinking, I don't really like coffee. So I had like a thought in my mind. I was like, what if I tried just black coffee and then put a scoop of my chocolate peanut butter Muscle Sport Whey isolate protein powder, or even 2. It's gonna have a little bit of that milk kind of vibe to it because of the protein powder. I think I'll start with 1 scoop, with a small cup with 1 scoop. Try not to waste too much. As a supplement for a pre-workout. Like I really do want to get away from like large amounts of caffeine. I want to optimize my sleep as much as possible. That is pretty much my main goal, because I feel like with the work I do as well as the workouts I do, getting enough sleep is always going to be beneficial for me. I work blue collar and I work out pretty hard. So getting enough sleep, getting good sleep is definitely super important to my lifestyle. Additionally, nothing. Additionally, I saw Sam Sulek's gonna eliminate all of Iran in the name of Israel because he's got new peptides. Saw that ad today. It's kind of a shit ad, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I like Sam Sulek a lot. Like, he is probably top 10 fitness influencers for me. But with the conflicts that are going on right now, to make an ad based on war, and then also make it AI, like, that's just low effort AI fucking goislop, dude. Like, it's fucking plus 7K, you know what I mean, dude? Like,
I don't know. It's whatever. It's not my. I'm sure it wasn't Sam's idea either. I'm sure he looked at it, did a little side grin, smirked, and said, "Yeah, all right, put it out." But it's like an ad for peptides. He gets crushed by like a rock, and then he's like about to die, but then he sees like BPC something and something else, and he takes him and he's like gets up and starts killing the enemy, which we all know who the enemy is, and the Iranian right now, because you know they're so. I shouldn't be talking, dude. Netanyahu's gonna get me just like they got Jim Carrey. Well, apparently they didn't get him. Apparently that was a dude in makeup. But nevertheless, we're gonna get this pump in. That was a crazy tangent I just went on. And you guys are gonna see the new gym I'm going to. I really, really like this new gym. Super well equipped. The lighting in there is phenomenal. So every angle looks good. I can't wait to get this camera in there once I get a new tripod and get some shots of that. But until then, yeah, we're gonna be shooting on the iPhone with no sound, no mic. I don't know why I start every fucking video with all right. Finished pull day number 2. I think that was something else that I forgot to mention about not just switching gyms, but we are now on the PPL split as opposed to the upper lower split, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm liking this a lot more. I kind of always thought that PPL was way better for powerlifting, but I'm really liking this push-pull legs split for this, you know, more geared towards bodybuilding. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that because it's push pull legs arms, it's like a 2-week cycle as opposed to a 1-week cycle. So you kind of hit things like 3 times over the course of 2 weeks, and then it resets, and then you're like back to square one again. Which is not. That's not. I don't necessarily dislike that. I think I may have misspoke there. It's just, you know, I'm still in the first week of this program, and it's a little bit to adjust to, like trying to figure everything out. Also, like random things have just been like coming up. Like yesterday, I had to stay home. Like I took a rest day on Wednesday. Yesterday was Thursday. I had to stay home pretty much all day because we had to get our water heater replaced. And it was the kind of thing where I was like, oh, I might be there from like 12 to 4. So then I stayed at my house, you know, pretty much all day. And then at like noon, like 12:30ish, I got a call and they're like, oh, it's going to be like probably around 2 to 6. And then at like 2, I got a call and they're like, hey, guy's going to be here in like an hour. So I was like, okay. And then he comes in and I had to move our refrigerator and I had to move our, yeah. Dude, New Jersey drivers got to be some of the stupidest drivers in the world. Anyway, I had to move our fridge. I had to move our cabinet. I had to like move our hutch in the kitchen and everything because the door to the basement is in the kitchen and all that stuff was in the way of the water heater getting up the stairs and down the stairs and whatnot. So, yeah, I was pretty much in my house from... I went to my dad's because I had my MacBook shipped to my dad's because originally I was supposed to be there on Wednesday when I was going to be at work and my mom was going to be at her boyfriend's and my brother was going to be at work. So I had it shipped to my dad so that he could sign for it because Best Buy, since it was such an expensive product, needed someone over the age of 18 to sign for it. Unfortunately, my dad dipped out for lunch when the FedEx guy came to deliver the MacBook. So they tried again the next day. And so I went over at like probably 11 a.m. to grab the MacBook, scooted back home to make sure that I was ready for the water heater guy. And then, so from like 11:30-ish, probably until 7 p.m. I was in the house. And then I also had decided to take some THC. And I was just a vegetable. And I ended up watching just like the history of the MacBooks. Dude, they've come a long way. And also, I never realized how much of like an innovation the MacBook Air was. This is totally not even gym related subject anymore. I'm just fucking yapping. But the MacBook Air was fucking crazy. Like, the biggest part of the MacBook Air, because you know, remember it was kind of like a triangle shape. The biggest part of the MacBook Air was smaller than the smallest part of the previously smallest like Sony laptop, which was like the smallest laptop out. It was like a Sony laptop that also was kind of in that triangle, and the large part of the MacBook Air was smaller than the tip, small part of the fucking Sony MacBook, without compromising the screen size or compromising keyboard size, and having, which is, you know, now insignificant, but at the time a fairly impressive like 5-hour battery life. That's pretty crazy. All that being said, even though pretty much everything I use is Apple besides like this camera and my desktop, which I also now have a fucking Mac desktop that my dad gave me that I'll probably be using as well. I don't like Apple, even though I use a lot of it. I don't like Apple. I don't like the monopoly that they have. It's just so convenient. And I feel like that's a lot of people. It's just so convenient. You don't have to be a tech bro. You don't have to be a fucking genius to use any of this stuff. It's very intuitive. But I don't like the monopoly that they have on the market. I don't like the fact that, like, if you're going to buy a phone, you're basically buying an iPhone or a Samsung. If you're going to buy a laptop, yeah, sure, you've got Lenovo, you've got Dell, you've got HP. But most people, when going to buy a laptop, they're gonna get a Mac, you know, and especially with the, I don't know how up to date you guys are with like the Mac stuff, but they just released the Mac Neo, which is, well, I don't think they released it, they just announced the Mac Neo, which is basically gonna be like the Apple Chromebook. It's gonna be the Safari book, and it's like a $600 Mac. It's got like the same processing chip as like an iPhone, but it's just the basics. It's got the basic shit you need. And anybody who just does like iMovie editing or like Google Docs or like just like school stuff, they're gonna be getting that instead of like, you know, something else that's like a little bit harder to use. At least for the people who don't take computers very seriously. Everybody I know who like takes computers seriously, they're all like, yeah, no, I don't use Apple. I was a fool, and I assumed there's a guy at the new gym I go to. He's got this like freaking $3,000 camera. And I talked to him the one day. He works for a car dealership, and he like does like video editing and whatnot. And he like, I followed him on Instagram. He's like cars and everything. I walked up to him one day. I was like, so I'm getting a MacBook, but the extra space is like super expensive. Blah blah blah. I was like, what would you suggest? And he was like, well, actually, I don't even use a MacBook. I think he's got a Lenovo. I think he said that's got like internal space, because it's not outrageously priced to get an extra internal space on the Lenovo. So I feel like the moment that anybody gets like a little bit deeper into tech, they usually stray away from Apple, unless they're just super used to this stuff. Like if you're like a Final Cut Pro guy, then you're probably not going to be switching to another device. I think you can get Final Cut Pro on other devices, but it's an Apple product, so like why wouldn't you just keep it on your Mac, you know? Anyway, thanks for listening.